Good evening, viewers, and thanks for joining us in this edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, we continue with our focus on the thousands of people in our country who are out there on the roads, on the streets, walking in the scorching heat, sometimes with no food, no money, no footwear, with children and luggage, and absolutely no idea how long it will take for them to reach their own homes. Now, yes, today the government tried to address this mega humanitarian crisis that we are staring at. But before we get into those details, I want to draw your attention to some of the visuals that have truly shaken us up, and I would want you to look at them as well. The first set of visuals comes in from Uttar Pradesh. It's self-explanatory. I don't need to describe what you're looking on your screens. A little boy, visibly exhausted, tired, resting on a suitcase as his mother drags on the luggage. They're obviously part of a big group that's walking. They're actually those set of migrants who've been walking all the way from Punjab to their own village in Uttar Pradesh. And through that travel, nobody has stepped up to help them or provide them any transport. Look at this visual, viewers. This is what we're doing to India's future. And not to say that when they were living in Punjab, they were perhaps very well off. We disregarded and ignored their pain and plight even then, because that's their life. But now, when we know that there is a crisis at hand, when we've been speaking about it for 6 weeks, it's unfortunate that we are still not able to do anything. Now, when the entire country's transport has come to a standstill, it's unfortunate that we can't find one single mode of transport for that little boy and his mother. On the other hand, this is the second visual that I wanted to show you. This is a visual of migrants who've reached Bihar but still haven't reached their home and are at a railway station fighting for the food packets. They would have traveled at least for 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours. We don't know where they came from. But their hunger, their desperation is very, very clearly visible for all those claims that are made by any state, any authority about how food is being provided and shelter is being provided. This too, viewers, is happening in our country. The fight is on for each single packet of food, perhaps the first meal that they would have had in many, many hours or maybe days, we don't know. We got visuals today from across the country of angry, hungry, tired migrants protesting because trains were getting cancelled and they were not able to board trains or buses to get back to their place, or they were not being given food, or they had found some or the other way, some mode of transport, because the government didn't help them. So they all cramped up and hid in trucks and then met with an accident on the way. Or they couldn't find anything and they were walking on the street and a bus came by or a truck came by and mowed them down. This is the biggest humanitarian crisis unfolding on the streets and the roads of our cities and our highways. What is it that we are doing? That's the big question. 19 people have died in accidents, and they were all migrant workers and their family members trying to get home. Now, let's talk about what is it that the government has announced today. After presenting in detail some steps that they claim they have taken to take care of these people in the past 2 months, the fresh announcements included this. There was one set of announcement about free food and grains, that 8 crore migrant workers will be given free wheat and rice up to a certain amount for the next 2 months. Then the finance minister said that we are also going to look at giving them jobs in Manrega. In fact, she gave us a figure which actually should be very, very concerning for everybody. That there has been a 50% increase in enrollment in the Manrega, the rural employment scheme, over last May, which means these many people in our rural areas right now are looking and are desperate for jobs. What else did the center announce? They brought back the One Nation, One Ration plan, which has been in the works for a while now, and promised us that this will be implemented for everybody universally by March 2021, which means that even if you are in any other part of the country, if you have a ration card, it should function there. It shouldn't depend on where you live, where you're registered, where you got the ration card, and where you're working right now. And the third one, which is a bit far-fetched for now and will not solve any immediate problem, is the promise of rental housing for migrants in the cities and towns where they work. Affordable housing. But that obviously doesn't provide them shelter right away. These are the steps that have been announced. Tonight, I've got ministers from various states joining us on this edition of the Urban Debate to tell us what steps the states are taking, to tell us if these initiatives by the government, central government, are actually going to help, and to tell us what else can be done. From Kerala to Madhya Pradesh to Chhattisgarh, we will have top ministers speaking to us here on the Urban Debate, viewers. And we will have experts who've been working on the ground to also give insights into if these steps will actually bring help. Of course, people who do manage to get the free ration, the dry ration, will get some amount of relief. But is that going to stop the exodus right now? What will stop the exodus? Or what will stop them from walking on the streets? How are we not able to activate our trains and buses to get them home unless we don't want all of them to go back home? How are we not able to provide food? How are we making false promises to them and then cancelling trains and buses? That's not what we're doing with the people we're bringing back from abroad. That's very well planned. Then why are we not able to plan this, viewers? Those are some of the questions that I want you to think about, and I will be asking our leaders as well. Let's say good evening to Kerala Minister, the Finance Minister, Mr. Thomas Isaac, joining us this evening. Mr. Isaac, I want to start with what the central government has announced today. And if you think this additional support in terms of food and a universal ration card or affordable housing is going to help with the migrant humanitarian crisis that we are witnessing right now.
No, it's a sham. If they're serious about the crisis of migrant workers now, at this moment, they should have looked to provide more employment in their house, in the home, in their villages. Now, the declaration says they would be integrated with the MGNREGS program. But not a single pie additional for the total outlay. It remains a 60,000 crores. If you look at last year, in April, 28 crore percentage of employment was provided MGNREGS, and this year it's only 11 crores. And now if you are serious about providing work for the migrant workers, you better increase the number of days of employment from 100 to 150 and provide, say, additional location. Now, as for the portable ration card, is already 17 states have implemented it, as Kerala is preparing to implement it. But remember one thing, when you get a ration in your migrant district, your name will be scratched from the ration card in your house. You cannot draw, the house cannot draw the ration card, the ration for you. It will be only delivered. So there is not much net gain at all. In fact, there may be little worse off. Now this housing and so on is going to take time here. It's a PPP model. Now the problem is most of these migrant workers are transient workers. So if you are looking for a PPP model, how are you going to implement it? It's only when they are attached to a permanent employer, then the employer can be called to provide for housing, proper housing, and so on. But definitely it is a step forward. I would definitely welcome it. But mind you, the humanitarian crisis here, nobody thought to provide a transport for them. There is a union list, the interstate migration. But look, what has the union government spent? I am aghast to hear the union finance minister saying 11,000 crores have been given to states for migrant workers. And I was trying to figure out what this is number. You know what this is? This is the Finance Commission Award for the SDR. So this 11,000 crores has been transferred to state disaster funds. And now of this 11,000, the central government permitted 25% to be spent for the migrant workers. Kerala we received, because the Finance Commission Award is such 157 crores rupees. That's a big amount we received. And 25% could be provided for the migrant workers. Mind you, with this paltry amount, we've accounted for 65% of the camps of migrant workers and 45% of the migrant workers in the camp. See, you talk big. I'm just saying, why can't we 7,500 or 8,000 rupees be transfer credited to every migrant worker? Yeah, that's a support. So these are all big talks and very little being done. And what are you talking about now? Labor code and minimum wages and so on. Where now, after following the footstep of UP, then Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat, I think Haryana is in line to scrap all the labor laws for the next 1,000 days in the name of COVID. Yeah.
Mr. Isaac, did you think that was or does that mean that perhaps the central government is actually working on a new proposal for minimum wages for all? Because on one hand, you have all these state governments that are right now diluting the labor laws, effectively doing away with the minimum wage, effectively giving the freedom to the companies to pay whatever they want to these people. And on the other hand, you have the center which is saying that we are trying to ensure that there are minimum wages for all.
Very well. If it's so, welcome. But they all belong to the same party, no? The BJP is governing the center, and all the states I named are governed by BJP. Don't they have a political policy regarding labor laws? Now, something central government wanted to do through uniform labor, the new labor code legislation, where labor rights were to be drastically reduced so much that even BMS was forced to protest. Now, these states in the pandemic times, taking advantage of the fact there can be no labor protest, are implementing it, you see. Therefore, I don't take it for face value. Now that there will be a uniform national minimum wage, now what is the uniform national minimum wage? Kerala, our prevailing wage rates are double the national in the unorganized sector. Now, are we to bring it down to the national average? Or will all states be asked to come up to our average? See, I'm happy if there is a national minimum wage law. I'm not talking, but I would have waited to see that happening. I don't take it by prima facie, accept the word. Because actions going on currently right in front of us are so different.
Let me ask you this question. What do you think is required right now by the states and the center to stop what is happening on our streets? To stop, the people from walking and undertaking these journeys on their foot, barefoot, for hundreds of kilometers, dying on the way. How do we stop this? What steps can be taken?
Am I to respond?
Yes, Mr. Isaac. The question to you, how do you think we should stop this? In terms of the policy, what do you think needs to be brought in?
See, the policy has been wrong right from the beginning. When you declare the national lockdown, at least take another 3 days, world wouldn't have come down. You should have transported these people, those who wanted to go back to the village. You should have given them an opportunity. And have provided transport, even the initial days of lockdown. Because then the COVID spread was not that widespread. And therefore, it was safe to travel. Now, from the hotspots of India, these urban centers, migrant workers are going to the villages. They are transporting the COVID also to the villages. What a disaster in the national policy of controlling the pandemic. You are now going to spread it all over India. You're going to have a big spike in the disease situation. Okay, that's happening. Nevertheless, now what do? You provide free transport to start with. That's what I say. Free transport. Have more trains. Let them be transported. Use the buses if you want. But state should shoulder the entire responsibility and expenditure of the transport. That's number one. And when they alight at the village or at the center, the state provide at least a token amount of money, some income transfer to them so that they survive the next 1 week till they find some salary, some jobs here or there. Now, what is the responsibility that is being taken? Once again, I say that interstate migration is in the union list. It's the responsibility of central government to help these migrant workers in these times. And what have been done? 11,000 crores of rupees in the SDRF office, 25% can be sent by the state a permissive sanction. That is shirking the responsibility.
Well, unfortunately, what has happened is that this shirking the responsibility or being in denial of what the reality is has brought us to this situation, and it just seems to be getting out of hand on a daily basis. I agree with you, Mr. Isaac, that we should have responded to this earlier rather than not doing anything and sitting and twiddling our thumbs for at least a month. But let us hope that the states can come together and ensure that now we acknowledge the problem and take care of these people who are as much Indian as you and I are. Thank you, Thomas Isaac, for speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Let me also say good evening to our experts who are joining us right now. Anshu Gupta, Founder Director for Gunj, and Irudya Rajan, Professor for Center for Development Studies. Mr. Rajan, let's begin with you. From what has been announced today and the background that was given by the Finance Minister of the steps that they have taken that they think will help the migrants, how much will that help us deal with the current crisis?
No, I think I don't see anything great in the announcement because what I see it, this is the first time. This is the first time in the history of migration. Migrants are going to their place, going back to their houses, going back to their states with empty hands. With empty hands, they never go with empty hands when they go back home. They always go with money. Either the Pravasis who are coming back or the migrants who are going back to their state. And this is the first time. That's why I was telling for the last 3-4 days, we should give them hard money transfer. At least 10,000 rupees per month. Last 2 months, they should get the cash in their hands. Food is fine. Food is only one way of kind. But I think we should start talking about giving them direct cash transfer to their account to all the migrants in this country. I think this is the first step we should talk about that, because giving housing for them, giving loan for them, or giving food for them, one ration card, all are fine, absolutely no problem. But right now what they require is that they need cash in their hands, which they don't have right now. Otherwise, can you imagine any time in the history of migration, migrants were standing in the railway station looking for money to go. They had money. They came to other states to earn money. They don't have in their states. That's why they are coming. Why people are pouring into Kerala? They are not making money in their states. Maybe in UP, Rajasthan, Bihar, they are coming to Kerala to make money. They are now looking for money to go back. Can you imagine the situation? So I think we have to be very serious about them. It is like a big refugee crisis. We should talk about Europe. So we are going to have a big crisis, and we are getting into the deep economic crisis in the rural areas. I think there is going to be there will be no food because the food is not enough. They need cash. And second thing is that this is the first time people don't want them. People, they are stigmatized. They are carrying what is called the COVID-19. I think this is the first time the family is not interested. States are not interested. Either the receiving state, no more train, or the sending state. Everybody tell them be there where you are. I think how long they can be there because there is no time limit. There is no time limit. In fact, there is no time limit because it will continue because the COVID is not going to leave us. COVID-19 is not going to rest in peace at least this year. It will continue for months to come. But we cannot hold them like bonded laborers. They have to move. They came on a free will to any state. No state has called them. No state has called them. So no state has any right to keep them. They want to go. They should be allowed to go. If they have no money, we have to pay them. We have to pay them not only the train fare. You have to pay them food. You have to pay them.
Yes, and think about this, Mr. Rajan. Mr. Rajan, I agree with you, and you need to facilitate it. You need to arrange for transport if they want to go back. You cannot just, make these tall claims that, we've started the trains and we are going to bear the cost of it and let it be. It's not happening. Even now we are getting reports, of some places where migrants are having to pay for their transport. Even now we have governments who are saying, we will bear the cost. You were supposed to bear the cost from day one. Why are we in this situation right now? I want to, yes, just bring in Anshul Gupta as well. Anshu, you and your organization, I am given to understand, have been working on the ground. Fact of the matter is that, yes, while a big chunk of the policy making and implementation is the government's responsibility, now we've come to a point in this humanitarian crisis that even though society needs to step up, people need to step up and help out. Give us a sense of what you guys have seen unfold on the streets out there.
So, to be honest, absolutely ashamed and shocked to see what is happening all across. I mean, yesterday only with my camera, I was just traveling to this, Mathura highway, Agra-Mathura highway. And there are people who are coming from various parts of Sonipat to whatever, and they are like, all set to go to Gaya. You ask them that how many days? They say 10, 15, 20 days, we don't know. We say, you have money? They say 100 rupees hai. We have 100 rupees. Where will you stay? Don't know. And people are just walking in groups and groups and groups. And so it's absolutely ashamed for sure, all of us. And I'm pretty sure that it's not an impossible task. All of us who are sitting inside home, we are okay with it. We know that we are near our dear ones and all that. I mean, in the time of crisis, if we just think a little bit emotionally, the way we have been thinking about ourselves, we also think about the fellow citizen, and the human being. That in this kind of crisis, you just need someone where you find comfort. I mean, why is such insecurity? Because the way we have been treating these people, not that migrants were not here, not that every single person was getting good food, but all these things were invisible. In the last 2 months, we have only made them insecure. I mean, imagine what a bad thing which we have done to ourselves if we really look into ourselves, that these millions and millions of people didn't trust any of the government, local government to whatever, no employer, no contractor, not even neighborhood. And despite knowing that there is no train and bus, they were absolutely ready to walk. They have never walked. Most of them who were just born, they were born in the big cities. They were not even born in the villages. And these little kids are walking. Good to see that some individuals, a lot of individuals have come up. Very, very proud and very good to see that the way the social sector has really responded to this disaster, because if you see the issue of hunger and providing food in the last few weeks, that is largely done by the voluntary sector, social development sector, and lots of individuals, fellow citizens that way. But I still feel that a large number of people are not understanding that what is the magnitude of the crisis, and this death on the road of the migrants has just become a number now. And that is also not a cumulative number. Every day we just hear some
Anshu,
news.
if I can just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has a number. The states don't. They have depended on online registration portals to find out how many just want to come back. Nobody has a clue on how many are out there on the streets. The authorities on the borders have given up. They've just opened it up to say, okay, let's just go. Some of the states have now said, okay, we'll start bus services, find whoever is on the way and just drop them to our border. This is how haphazard this has become. I actually wanted to ask you that, from the people that you spoke to, these migrants who were walking down, what did they say? At no point did anybody at any state border offer them help. Uttar Pradesh government was the first to begin the bus service to bring back people. How is it that even now in Uttar Pradesh, through the entire state, people are just walking on the highway?
Listen, lot of steps we are taking after almost 1.5 months. Fine. So there is a lot of scare, there's a lot of insecurity. People are asking for rent. The food is not enough. You don't see any future. You don't know an end date. So that's a huge sense of insecurity. I mean, the common statement कि मैं वहाँ जाके कम से कम अपनों के साथ में मरूंगा. That if I go there, I'll die with my own people. That's the common sentiment which I've been hearing, from so many people. That even if I don't get food there, at least I'll be around with my people. And they do hate cities now for sure. Large number of people are saying that they will never come back. And I don't know if we do not work in the villages in the time to come, because villages in India we have always and always ignored. These are just the people who keep bringing things for us. They become our driver, they become farmers, they feed us, but we never take care of them. So I'm really afraid that these millions of people who are going back to the villages, are we really geared up to take care of them there? Or in a year or so, they will again be forced to come back to the cities in such kind of scenario.
Yes, in fact, I will request you and Mr. Rajan to stay on with me. Anshu and Mr. Rajan, please do, because this is an issue that we want to, look into in detail and see what else can the authorities do. And frankly, yes, some of them have started the transport services, but the transport services aren't enough. Let's be honest about it. And there are so many public government buses and trains that are just standing there in the bus depots and in the yards that can be used, and I don't know why they're not being used. But before that, I want to bring one more ground report. Now, even from Rajasthan, people are walking down all the way to Uttar Pradesh, to Bihar. They don't know when they're going to reach, but they have no other option but to just get out and start walking. Like Anshu was saying, they've lost faith in the state. They all very patiently did wait for 1 month, and then when things got dire is when we saw this entire giant exodus begin. So this is a story of a family of pipeline diggers, viewer, who were left stranded in Rajasthan's Jaipur after their contractor abandoned them in the month of March. With no job in hand and no money, the family has now decided that they are going to walk all the way back to Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh, which will be roughly about 400 kilometers, if not more. And they have no option but to go on foot. This is one more report that I want to bring you again. Arvind has got us this report, and this one is about workers who used to be employed in a steel factory. 8 steel plant workers from Jodhpur are now cycling back to their hometown in Bihar. From Jodhpur in the desert of Rajasthan, in the middle of May, they have decided and they have gotten out on their cycles to reach Bihar. And they are determined that they will cover this 1100 kilometer distance just because they want to be home. They have no jobs, they have no income, extremely worried about what's going to happen in their future. They don't know whether they should stay back and for how long, what will happen next. Completely disillusioned with the promises that have been made to them by the authorities. Joining me right now is Mr. Kamal Patel, Cabinet Minister of Agriculture Department in Madhya Pradesh. Kamal Patel जी नमस्कार, धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए. एक बात नहीं समझ में आ रही है पटेल जी कि अब तो इतने दिन हो गए हैं, फिर भी ये जो माइग्रेंट्स का प्रॉब्लम है ये रुक नहीं रहा, चलते चले जा रहे. देश भर में आप आज किसी भी कोने में चले जाएं, लोग अभी भी हाईवेज पे, सड़कों पे चल रहे हैं. क्यों कोई भी सरकार, राज्य सरकार कुछ कर नहीं पा रही?
देखिए, मध्य प्रदेश ऐसा राज्य है जिसके 7 राज्य उससे जुड़े हुए हैं। अगर दिल्ली से आएगा, मुंबई जाना है तो मध्य प्रदेश होके जाएगा। अगर महाराष्ट्र से उत्तर प्रदेश जाना है तो मध्य प्रदेश होके जाएगा। अगर उसको बिहार जाना है तो मध्य प्रदेश होके जाएगा। राजस्थान जाना है, महाराष्ट्र जाना है, कहीं। और इसलिए हमारे मुख्यमंत्री माननीय शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी ने सभी अधिकारियों को सरकार ने निर्देश दिए हैं कि मध्य प्रदेश की सीमा में जैसे ही कोई पैदल आता है उसका स्वागत किया जाए, उसको पानी पिलाया जाए, उसको भोजन की व्यवस्था की जाए, उसको सैनिटाइज किया जाए, उसका परीक्षण किया जाए। उसके बाद बस से उसकी महाराष्ट्र के, अगर उत्तर प्रदेश से आ रहा तो महाराष्ट्र की सीमा तक निःशुल्क बस से उसको पहुंचाया जाए, रास्ते में पानी और भोजन की व्यवस्था की जाए। इस प्रकार दूसरे राज्य का, हमारे राज्य में कोई आता है, हमारे राज्य का है मजदूर, तो उसको भी हम स्वागत करते हैं और बुलाते हैं। और इस प्रकार अभी तक हमने गुजरात से करीब 12,000 लोग आए हैं और गुजरात से 1,38,000, राजस्थान से 45,000, महाराष्ट्र से 59,000 श्रमिक वापस लाए गए हैं हमारे प्रदेश के। इसके अलावा गोवा, दिल्ली, पंजाब, हरियाणा, केरल, आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना से भी श्रमिक आए हैं और जो अपने अपने राज्यों में जा रहे हैं, हमारी प्रदेश की सीमा में प्रवेश करते समय हम उनका स्वागत करते हैं और उनको उनकी सीमा तक पहुंचाते हैं। इस प्रकार 2,69,000 श्रमिक प्रदेश में वापस आ चुके हैं। इससे रेल से करीब 70,000 और सड़क मार्ग से, बसों से 2 लाख मजदूरों को हमने मध्य प्रदेश में वापस लाए हैं। और जब इतनी बड़ी संख्या में लोग चल के आते हैं तो उनके भोजन की व्यवस्था, उनके ठहरने की व्यवस्था, उनकी पानी की व्यवस्था जन सहयोग से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता और शासन प्रशासन सब मिलकर कर रहे हैं। अब ऐसी स्थिति में कहीं 1-2 जगह अफवाह स्वरूप फिर भी लोग चोरी छुपे आते हैं और लोग ट्रेन के रास्ते से चलते हैं ताकि वो अपने मुंबई से चल के बनारस पहुंच सके, और इसलिए उनको भी रोका जा रहा है, उनका स्वागत किया जा रहा है, उनको बसों में बिठाकर, ट्रेन में बिठाकर पहुंचाया जा रहा है। अभी 10 ट्रेनें कल ही आई है, आज 8-10 ट्रेनें
मध्य प्रदेश में पटेल जी
हमने ट्रेनों से भेजा, बसों से 300 से अधिक बसें चल रही हैं।
बोलिए जी। पर फिर भी ये हाल है कि काफी लोग चल रहे हैं, बिल्कुल जैसे कि आपने कहा मध्य प्रदेश क्योंकि बीच में है एकदम, चाहे गुजरात से हो, महाराष्ट्र से हो या साउथ से कहीं से भी आ रहे हो, वो चल के आपके राज्य के थ्रू ही जाएंगे, उत्तर प्रदेश, बिहार, छत्तीसगढ़ जाना हो तो कितनी बसें अभी आपने चलाई हैं और कितने रास्ते में उनके लिए राहत कैंप्स लगाए गए हैं ताकि वो रुक के खा सके और थोड़ा सा वहाँ पे रेस्ट कर सके?
जितनी भी सीमा से आते हैं सभी जगह हमारे राहत कैंप हैं, उनकी हम स्क्रीनिंग मतलब उनकी जांच करते हैं, उनको भोजन पानी की व्यवस्था कराते हैं, उनके ठहरने की व्यवस्था कराते हैं और सभी जिलों में जितने भी बॉर्डर हैं सभी जगह राहत कैंप लगे हुए हैं और उसके बाद उनको बस में बिठाकर उनको सीमा तक जोड़ा जाता है। अगर मध्य प्रदेश के हैं तो सिंगरौली के तो सिंगरौली भेजते हैं, बालाघाट के तो बालाघाट भेजते हैं और इस प्रकार 2 लाख से भी अधिक लोगों को, 2,69,000 श्रमिकों को हमने अभी तक उनके घर तक पहुंचा दिया है और अन्य प्रत्येक जिले के अंदर ये कैंप लगे हुए हैं और जन सहयोग से और प्रशासन के सहयोग से माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बजट का पूरा प्रावधान किया गया है। 2-2 करोड़ रुपए हमने सब जिलों को दे दिए हैं, राशन की पूरी व्यवस्था की है, चाहे गरीबी रेखा में नाम हो चाहे नहीं हो। हमारे प्रदेश में अगर कोई प्रवेश करता है तो भूखा नहीं जाएगा, भूखा नहीं रहेगा, प्यासा नहीं रहेगा, उसको ठहरने की व्यवस्था, उसकी जांच, इलाज वगैरह सब होके ही पहुंचा रहे हैं। और ये पूरे देश में ये पहला राज्य है मध्य प्रदेश जो जनता की संवेदनशील मुख्यमंत्री है शिवराज जी, और इसलिए हमारी पूरी सरकार, हमारी पूरी टीम और इसके लिए एक मंत्री हमारे तुलसीराम सिलावट जी, उनको पूरी व्यवस्था दी गई है, अधिकारियों की ड्यूटी लगाई गई है कि वो अन्य राज्यों से बात करें, अधिकारियों से, जिलों के कलेक्टर से बात करें और यहाँ पर समन्वय बिठाते हुए लोगों की व्यवस्था करें। जितना अच्छे से अच्छा हो सकता है हमने करने का प्रयास किया है और 8-10 ट्रेनें रोज चल रही है। अभी तक 84 ट्रेनों से लोगों को भेजा गया है और बाकी व्यवस्था भी की गई है। लाखों लोग भी होंगे तो उनके बस से और ट्रेन से भोजन की व्यवस्था कराते हुए, पानी की व्यवस्था कराते हुए, नाश्ते की व्यवस्था कराते हुए उनको हमने पहुंचाने की व्यवस्था की है। हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी के सीधे निर्देश हैं।
मेरा एक और आपसे सवाल है, जो आपके खुद के राज्य के लोग हैं जो दूसरे राज्यों से अब वापस आए हैं, पीपल फ्रॉम मध्य प्रदेश वर्किंग इन अदर स्टेट्स, अब उनका कैसे ख्याल रखा जाएगा? अब वो वहाँ पे आ गए हैं, उनके लिए खाना, उनके लिए नौकरी, ये आपकी सरकार की जिम्मेदारी बन जाएगी। आज जो केंद्रीय सरकार ने भी अनाउंसमेंट्स करी है, वो सारा का सारा ग्राउंड पे काम करना तो राज्यों की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी।
बिल्कुल सही है। और हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी ने सबसे पहले, हमने कोटा में जो छात्र थे हमारे, उनके लिए बसें भेज के राजस्थान सरकार से बात करके पूरे मध्य प्रदेश के जहाँ थे उनको पहुंचाया। उनके लिए रास्ते में पानी, भोजन, नाश्ता सब व्यवस्था की है। अभी भी हम कर रहे हैं। किसी प्रकार की, हमने सभी अधिकारियों को निर्देशित किया है कि अगर जिले से होकर गुजरने वाले कोई मजदूर है तो उनको विश्वास होना चाहिए कि सरकार हमारी है। उनका स्वागत करो, उनको पानी पिलाओ, उनको भोजन कराओ, उनको नहलाओ धुलाओ और उसकी जांच कराओ, और उसके बाद में जहाँ के वहाँ उनको पहुँचाओ। अगर मध्य प्रदेश के अंदर सीमा के हैं तो जिस जिले के, जिस गांव के, वहाँ तक पहुँचा के आओ। उसके बाद बाहर के हैं तो सीमा तक छोड़ के आओ। और इस प्रकार हमारे पूरा प्रशासन उसके अंदर लगा हुआ है। सब अधिकारियों की, प्रदेश स्तर के बड़े अधिकारी, पीएस स्तर के अधिकारियों की, एसीएस स्तर के अधिकारियों की हमने जिम्मेदारी दी है। जिलों में कलेक्टर, एसपी और एक क्राइसिस मैनेजमेंट ग्रुप बनाया हमने, जिसमें जनप्रतिनिधि भी हैं, सभी पार्टी के विधायक हैं, सांसद हैं, जन सामाजिक समाज सेवी हैं, व्यापारी के लोग हैं, उद्योग के क्षेत्र के लोग हैं। इस प्रकार सबका ग्रुप बनाकर एक परिवार के ऊपर जब संकट आता है तो पूरा परिवार संकट में जो व्यक्ति होता है उसकी सेवा करता है। इस प्रकार हमारे भारत पर कोरोना का जो संकट आया है, मध्य प्रदेश में जो संकट आया है, उसको हम सब एक परिवार के रूप में मिलकर सामूहिक रूप से एक रूप होकर उसको हम दूर करें, उस संकट का सामना करें और हमारे जो गरीब लोग हैं, मजदूर हैं, असहाय, उनकी सहायता करें और उनको अपने घर तक पहुंचाने में कामयाब हों। और इसमें हमारी सरकार कामयाब हुई है। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी बहुत संवेदनशील है, उन्होंने सख्त निर्देश दिए हैं। हमारे पास बजट की कोई कमी नहीं है, राशन की कोई कमी नहीं है, वाहन की कोई कमी नहीं है, सब व्यवस्था हमने की है।
अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि कोई कमी नहीं है तो बस मेरा आपसे एक जो रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि अभी भी बहुत जो लोग दूसरे राज्यों से ट्रकों में अंदर घुस के भर के कैसे भी चढ़ के एक दूसरे के ऊपर बैठ के जा रहे हैं, उनके लिए भी कोई सुविधा कीजिए। क्योंकि मध्य प्रदेश में ही आज 2 रिपोर्ट आई हैं जहाँ एक्सीडेंट भी हो गया अनफॉर्चुनेटली इन ट्रकों का। तो ये इनको जो जाने दिया जा रहा है, इनको भी अच्छे से खाना दे के बसें प्रोवाइड कर सके तो करिए। कमल पटेल जी, शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए, धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए और हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। जी, और अपना समय हमें देने के लिए। इफ आई कैन जस्ट गो बैक टू मिस्टर राजन, fact of the matter is they've lost faith, as Anshu was saying, in the authorities. They have run out of patience. And there is no stopping them, despite the fact that trains and buses are being planned overnight. It can't happen that everybody gets it, and so they have set out. So should the focus not change to saying, okay, at least on the way, on these highways, let's put out buses, pick up people wherever they are and drop them to the borders, provide shelter camps, provide them food on the way. I don't see too many governments doing what the Madhya Pradesh minister was just mentioning that they are attempting to do.
I think we should put as a priority because they came on their own to respective states for work. Now there is no work, there is a lockout. When they are going back, I think we should facilitate them the smooth travel back home with food, with all facilities, because they should reach back. You don't need even, you are not giving money to their hands. I think at least you should allow them to reach home safely, because if there would have been vehicle, there would have been train, there would have been bus, they would not even look for it. That's why I was telling to some people, even the lockdown would have been delayed by 5 days for the migrants in the beginning of, in the end of March. Probably we were talking about 500 COVID cases. Even I don't think they would have transported so much COVID to the villages. Now we are talking about 70,000 and they are going back to respective states. So we are getting into both economic crisis and health crisis. So I think we should sort it out very soon. We should not delay this process. Let them go back to their place, and they are safer, they feel, and they are comfortable. Like, already somebody told, I don't mind going back to my village and maybe die there rather than dying on the road or on the some another state which I am not familiar. I think we should facilitate their passage with all means, both state government, what is called the sending states and receiving states should facilitate their safe return as soon as they can, and the central government should provide them along with the state government, what is called the cash transfer to them so that they have a decent life for the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay, here are two more examples that I wanted to highlight. The first one is a set of visuals that we actually got of migrants who had been cycling down and they then reached the Yamuna river bank. And because they need to get home, whichever way, this way or that way, they're willing to risk their lives. There is a part in this visual where you can see a makeshift boat, which is essentially just a plank on two tubes, two tube tires, and a plank on that. And they're all standing there on the banks, planning how they're going to use this to perhaps cover some amount of the distance to reach their home in Uttar Pradesh. This is one of those stories, viewers, which shows you the desperation. And imagine what they would have gone through in the past few weeks if they're willing to risk their lives in such a manner. The second incident that I wanted to highlight was what happened in Bhuj, in Kutch today. Now, about 1,000 workers got really angry. Migrants got really angry. They protested. They blocked the highway. They even resorted to stone pelting. And this is actually a fear of most state governments that such situation may arise if they don't help out the migrants now. But this happened, and it's very important to know why they did this. Because they have been stranded there now since the lockdown began. And they were promised a train that was later on cancelled. And so, in anger, they resorted to protest and stone pelting. The train was meant to ferry them to Uttar Pradesh, got cancelled 2 days ago, and they've still since then been waiting for an update. Now we can say that between Uttar Pradesh, a BJP governed state, and Gujarat, another BJP governed state, there will be a significant amount of coordination, and requests for trains will be sent to the center, which is governed by the BJP, and at least for this entire triangle, they should have enough trains and buses running without any hitch, without any politics blocking any of it. But even then, that's not happening. So then one wants to ask the question, are they simply unaware of just how dire the situation is? Can the Gujarat leaders not reach out to these people, take care of them until there is a train provided? We've just abandoned them, left them on the streets to say, okay, there are some shelter camps, go and get the food from there and we'll tell you when the train is available. Some amount of apathy refuses to go away. And every single person who fails these people in such a manner should be ashamed. We all should be. We knew about this problem 6 weeks ago, and we didn't do enough until now. That's the problem. Anshu, what should be now the solution? What do we do? You can't stop people from moving. They've obviously run out of patience, like you said. They don't trust the government. The announcement about free ration and rental housing aside, what needs to be done right now for the humanitarian crisis?
Listen, what are people asking for? People are saying, we want to go home. That's it. And what are they asking for? Just maybe a meal or two, basic meals a day. They lost trust on every single employer, company, contractor, everyone, right? And there is a desperate situation to go home. So the only solution is, if we want to, keep it as a good humanitarian issue as of now and settle down here, is that we just do as much as possible so that people go home. And it is 100% doable. I cannot, all this physical distancing, I am against the word social distancing, because at the end of the day, right now, you need to be very close socially. It is a physical distancing. So that physical distancing and all in this scenario we have been watching for last many days, it's not possible to maintain, because the way these pictures which you are showing is a proof of that. So the basic food. And the second is that if we all can arrange for people to go back, whatever way we can. Because if a mother has decided to go and walk 500 kilometers with a kid on a suitcase, I can tell you that no one can stop her. So it's better that we make her life as a fellow citizen, make her life easy, so that on the way she does not die, her kid does not die. And so I mean, I don't think we really have to think more about it. These are, as of now, this is a solution, and then we come to the second level and see that now people have reached somewhere. How do we revive the economy? How do we say that people will work in the factory? How do we open up? But the crisis need to be tackled right now in terms of hunger and travel. That's it. And these are the people, I mean, I'm really, this is something I've been raising, that the world is divided in two clear parts right now. One, the people who have food, the other, people who do not have food. The people who have food are inside the walls. The people who do not have food are outside the walls. And who are these homeless people? The people who made home for us. Who are the people, in the queue to ask for 100 grams of rice? Are the people who have been feeding us. So I think it's the society, and when I say society is government to individuals, to companies, to everyone. This is our chance to pay back. It's our chance to not give back, but pay back. Because we have a karja. We have a karja of these people. I am sitting inside my home because someone made it.
Yes.
Simple. So individually we all need to think, and the governments also need to be, thinking about it, that we cannot stop this mother now. I can tell you. I've spoken to many people. You cannot stop. It's very simple thing is that we come out with some solutions to make sure that she reaches home. That's it. What else can I say?
Yeah, we cannot stop her. Yeah, I
We
know.
cannot
I
stop.
know. In fact, what you said. Thank you so much for highlighting that, because I want to, I wanted to bring that up as well. That when these people were in our cities and literally running our cities, being the lifeline from construction to factories, manufacturers, services, from the shops to the cabs, they literally run everything in our cities. Then we didn't mind it at all. And now that they have left, now that they are jobless, now that they have no food, no water, we've completely forgotten them. We literally, our lives are dependent on these people, and we have abandoned them tonight. That is the biggest problem with the way we've dealt with this crisis. Even for the state governments, if they believe that this crisis will actually end in 2 days when you get them to their homes, it's not. Or this crisis will end if you give them food on the road right now, it's not. Or if you keep them in the shelter home, it's not. It's far, far deeper than that. And we've messed it up in 6 weeks. But if we don't at least accept it and admit it now, then it's just going to blow up and worsen from here on. Just one statistic I want to highlight. Even before these migrants reach home, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today, viewers, said that there has been a 40 to 50% jump in the enrollment for the government employment scheme in our rural India over last May. This is no sign of the support that the government is giving. This should be an alarm bell for the government. This means that there is a massive employment need in our rural India. Add to that the demographic shift that's just happening with thousands of these people going back to their homes. If the government doesn't move now, we're going to be staring at another big crisis. And these people will again be the ones who have to go hungry, without any money, without any food, living in the heat, in the pain, with absolutely no support from us. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us. We're not done yet. We've got one more big interview lined up on the other side. Stay with me.